How would you feel if you were king or queen of a large country right this very minute? That would probably feel pretty overwhelming because you're just a kid. But guess what? One of the most famous kings in history was only about 9 or 10 years old when he became king. His name was Tutankhamun, but you probably know him as King Tut. Let's learn more about this interesting person who was also known as the Boy King. King Tutankhamun was a pharaoh or king of Egypt way back in the 1300s BCE. Historians believe that King Tut began his reign around the age of 9 in the year 1332 BCE. Even though he was pharaoh, King Tut had several advisors to help him with day-to-day ruling decisions because he was so young. He ruled the country at a time of war, as Egypt fought with a neighboring kingdom called Nubia over land. King Tut married while very young. His wife was the daughter of another pharaoh named Akhenaten. King Tut ruled until his death in 1324 BCE at the age of 18 or 19. You may be asking yourself, hey, how come we know so much about this king, even though he only ruled for such a short period of time thousands of years ago? Well, it has a lot to do with the beliefs of the ancient Egyptians and how they viewed their leaders. Here's an interesting fact. The ancient Egyptians were very religious and believed that pharaohs were not only rulers, they were actually gods. The Egyptians believed that the pharaoh was an earthly god that communicated with all of the other gods. Some historians estimate that the ancient Egyptians worshipped as many as 2,000 deities or gods. The religious beliefs of the ancient Egyptians focused a lot on the afterlife, which is where they believed a person went after they died. They believed that a person passed to this afterlife in the same form as when they were alive. Because of this, they developed burial processes to preserve the body for its new life in the afterlife. This is known as mummification. Pharaohs were mummified and placed in beautiful tombs, like the pyramids. These tombs would also include items that the pharaoh might need in the afterlife. Things like food, jugs, clothing, jewelry, games, weapons, art, or even pets. Which brings us back to the reason why we know so much about King Tut. It is because special scientists called archaeologists discovered his tomb. This happened 100 years ago in 1922. That year, archaeologist Howard Carter and his team discovered King Tut's tomb, along with the mummified body of King Tut himself. Can you imagine what it would have been like to discover something so important? King Tut's coffin was made of gold, and there were over 5,000 artifacts found inside the tomb. Because pharaohs were buried with personal items and items they wanted to take with them to the afterlife, archaeologists could recreate the history of Tut's short life by studying these artifacts. Here's another interesting fact. King Tut's name was changed to include Amun, to show respect and allegiance to the god Amun, who was the god of sun and air. Eventually, during Tut's time as king, Amun would be merged with other gods to become known as the god of creation. So why did King Tut die so young? Well, there are many theories. Some historians believe that he might have been murdered by advisors who'd wanted to seize power. Others believe he may have been killed by family members, like his father-in-law who did not want to return to worshiping Amun. Thanks to modern DNA testing and other physical evidence, most scientists now think that King Tut died because he was in pretty poor health and also suffered from bone disease. But Since his tomb was unusually small for a pharaoh, scientists now think that he died suddenly or unexpectedly. It is a mystery that might never be completely solved. We've learned some pretty cool facts about King Tut. Let's see what you remember. True or false? King Tut is sometimes known as the Boy King. True. This is because he was so young when he ruled ancient Egypt. What is King Tut's full name? Tutankhamun. Fill in the blank. Blank was the process that the ancient Egyptians used to prepare a person's body for the afterlife. Mummification. Great job, friends! King Tut might have been just a boy when he became pharaoh, but his legacy lives on today. While his death remains a mystery, the historical importance of finding most of King Tut's tomb intact after hundreds of years is priceless. Because of his tomb, we have a greater understanding of the cultural and the technological significance of the ancient Egyptian civilization.